The next application of percents is going to involve money problems. We're going to look at a bunch of different situations that involve percents and money. And the first is going to be a discount. In order to calculate a discount, we're going to use the equation sale price equals a percent of the original price. And so we're told in this first example that the cost of a Yankees jersey is $89.95. And for obvious reasons, the Yankee jersey is 35% off. What is the sale price? That's what we're trying to figure out. How much would we pay now that it's on sale? And so we're going to use the equation that we mentioned above. Sale price equals percent times the original price. So I'll go ahead and write that in. Sale price equals a percent of the original price. And in order to do this, well, I'm going to be looking for the sale price. So I'll just call that SP. For my rate, well, it's 35% off. And so if I'm going to save 35%, 100 minus 35 is equal to 65. This means that we're actually only going to be paying 65% of the original price. And so for my rate, I'm going to use 65 hundredths. And then the original price of the jersey was $89.95. Okay, so since we saved 35%, that means we had to pay 65% of the original price. And now when we go ahead and multiply these for my sale price, well, that's going to give me the decimal 58 and 4675. Now we know that money has two decimal places, so we have to round this to the nearest hundredth. Looks like 46 hundredths, but that 7 right there in the thousandths place is going to round us up. So this is going to be approximately $58.47 when it's on sale. The next area of percents and money is going to be with taxes. In order to calculate the amount with tax, we're going to use this equation. The total with tax equals a percentage times the subtotal. A tax is a part of your purchase that will be added. Tax gets added onto the price. The tax does not belong to the store owner. It belongs to the town, county, and state governments. Okay, first thing you always need to do, add up your purchases. So in this example here, you go to Crossgates to buy 3 items, a sweater for $29.95, jeans for $56.95, and sneakers for $75. The tax rate in Albany County is 8.5%. How much will you pay with tax? So again, the first thing we're going to do is add up these numbers here so that we have our subtotal. And when we add them together, we get $161.90 as our subtotal. And now we're going to set up the equation that I mentioned up here. Our total with tax is going to equal a percentage of the subtotal. Okay, and we're trying to calculate our total. All right, for our percentage, okay, well, we said tax gets added on. So we have to pay all of this price, the $161.90. We have to pay 100% of that. And then we also need to add on an extra 8.5% of that price in order to calculate the tax. And so in actuality here, the percent of the subtotal that we're going to be paying is 108.5%. 108.5%. But remember, make sure that your rate is written in decimal form. Okay, so 108.5%, we're going to move it back once, twice. So for our rate, we're going to have 1,085 times our subtotal of $161.90. Okay, so again, to figure out that rate, we have to pay 100% of the subtotal plus another 8.5%, excuse me, which represents the tax. So the total percent of the subtotal that we're going to pay is 108.5%. When I go ahead and I multiply those two numbers together for my total, I get 175 and 6615. Again, we need to round that to the nearest hundredth. So this is going to be approximately $175.66. In the next question, we have a problem that includes discount and tax. You want to buy a bike, but you wait for it to go on sale. A bike that regularly costs $219 goes on sale for 15% off. What is your total including a 7% sales tax? Okay, now unlike the last problem, I can't just combine these percentages because the discount is going to be based off of the original price of the bike, but the tax is going to be based off of the subtotal, which is the discounted price. So I can't combine the percentages here. So this is going to be a two-step problem. I'm first going to calculate the sale price. Sale price is equal to a percentage of the original cost. And to calculate my sale price here, well, my percentage that I'm saving is 15%. 100 minus 15 is 85. So we're going to be paying 85% of the original price. So I'm going to have 85 hundredths times the original of 219, which means when I multiply those together, my sale price is going to end up being $186.15. Now I need to calculate what the cost will be including tax. So again, my total price with tax is going to equal a percentage of the subtotal. And our total is what we're looking for. Okay, for the percentage, we have to pay 100% of the subtotal plus an extra 7% of the subtotal for our sales tax. So 100%, 100 plus an extra 7% means we're going to be paying 107% of the subtotal. 107% in decimal form is 1 7/100 times the subtotal of 186.15. And when I multiply those two numbers together, that's going to give me a total of 199 and 1805. But again, we need to round this to the hundredths place, so this is going to be approximately $199.18. And so this is the price that you will end up paying once you take the discount and include the tax. The next area of money that uses percentages are gratuities. Gratuities are also known as tips. A gratuity is a tip given to a waiter or waitress or a service person in thanks for good service. In order to calculate our cost with a tip, the total with the tip is equal to a percentage times the original bill. So we're told that Mary went to dinner and spent $36. The tax on the bill is 7.5%, and she would like to leave an 18% tip. How much does she spend in all? Okay, so that's what we're trying to figure out here. The total is going to equal percentage of the original bill. Okay, so we're looking for our total here, our total, and that's going to equal to, well, for the percentage, okay, we have to pay 100% of the bill, which was the $36, plus tax is 7.5% of the bill, so we have to pay an extra 7.5% of the subtotal of the bill here in order to represent the tax. And then she also wants to leave an 18% tip. The amount of tip is always based off of the original price of the bill. It's not calculated on the cost of the bill with tax, otherwise you'd be tipping the government as well. So what we're going to do, we're going to calculate an extra 18% of the bill, which is $36. Okay, and now if I take the percentage of the bill, 100% I have to pay, 7.5% of the bill, which is the tax, and 18% of the bill, which is the tip, and I add those together, that means that in all we're going to be paying 125.5% of the bill. Okay, and that's going to give us our total cost, including tax and tip. When the percentages are all based off of the same amount, then we can add them together like this. The tax and the tip are based off of that $36 amount. So 125.5% written in decimal form, move that back twice, 1,255 times the original bill, which was $36. And now when I go ahead and I multiply those, this is going to give me a total bill, including tax and tip, of $45.18. The next area we're going to look at are called markups. Stores do not pay the same amount for a product that the shopper pays. In order to make a profit, stores will add an amount. They will add an amount to the selling price. This amount is called a markup. Okay, stores are in business to make a profit, so they're not going to sell you an item for the same amount that they paid. They're going to add a little bit more, and again, that price is called a markup. To get the price that you pay, which is called the retail price, we're going to take a percentage of the wholesale price, which is the price that the store pays. A computer software retailer used a markup rate of 40%. Find the selling price of a computer game that cost the retailer $25. All right, and so we're going to do the retail price is equal to a percentage of the wholesale price. Okay, the retail price is the price that you pay. That's what we're trying to calculate. The percentage here, well, we have to pay all of the price that the store paid for it, plus an extra 40% of that price. So 100 plus 40 means that we have to pay 140% of the wholesale price. So for our rate, 140% is 1 4/10 times that wholesale price of $25. And now to get the retail price, the price that we would pay, just multiply those together, and the game would cost us $35. Commissions are the next percent money problems that we're going to look at. People that sell things for a living get to keep a percentage of their sale, which is called a commission. The commission equation, commission is equal to a percentage of the amount of sales. Jay works as a car salesman and earns a commission on his total sales for the week. His weekly paycheck was for the amount of $2,200, and that already included his salary of $1,216. Okay, so $1,216 was his salary. The rest of it was his commission, which made his total amount $2,200. His sales for the week were $49,200. We need to figure out the rate of commission. Okay, so let's use our equation. Commission is equal to a percentage of the sales. And we're trying to figure out what that rate of commission is. So for the rate, I'm going to put R. We're told that his sales for the week were $49,200. So I'm going to put that amount in for the sales. And now we've got to get that amount of commission. Well, remember, his total paycheck was $2,200, which already included his salary of $1,216. So we're going to subtract those to figure out what part represents the commission, and that's $984. So $984 was the extra amount that Jay earned by selling cars. All right, so to get the value of R, the rate, all by itself, we're going to divide each side by 49,200. And that's going to leave us with R equal to, when we do the division here, we're going to get 2/100ths, which means that Jay earns a 2% commission on his sales. The final area that we're going to look at with money and percents is going to be on simple interest. Simple interest is interest applied only to the initial amount. The formula for simple interest that we'll use is I equals PRT. I stands for interest, which is the extra amount that you would have to pay. P is the principal, which is the original amount that you borrowed. R is going to be your rate, again in decimal form. And T, this is going to be the time, always in years. Your time always needs to be represented in years. So in our first example, we're told that Maggie is taking out a student loan for $2,600. This is going to be the principal amount that she's borrowing. She plans on paying off the loan in 3 years. So that's going to be our time, again, times in years. At the end of 3 years, Maggie will have paid $390 in interest. So she has to pay back all of the money that she borrowed, plus an extra $390 in interest. I want to know, what is the simple interest rate on this student loan? And so we're going to use the formula I equals PRT. And then we're just going to substitute in the values that we know. The amount of interest, I, was $390. The principal, P, that she borrowed was $2,600. We're looking for the rate. What is the interest rate? So times R times the time in years. Well, it's going to take 3 years for her to repay that. Okay? So this is the problem that we need to solve in order to get the value of R, the interest rate. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply the 2,600 by the 3 because they're on the same side. So 390 equals, when I multiply them together, that's 7,800 times R. Now all I have to do to get the value of R is divide each side by 7,800. And when we do that division, we're left with R equaling 5/100ths, which, if we change it into a percentage, is 5%. And so we can say that the interest rate on the loan is 5%. In the next example, we're going to calculate the interest earned. The principal borrowed was $1,200, so we're calculating I, the interest. Principal is $1,200. Our interest rate right here is 3.9%, so convert that into a decimal by moving the decimal to the left 2 times. That's 0.039. And then it's 8 months for our time. But remember, time always has to be expressed in years. So it's 8/12ths of a year, which becomes 2/3 of a year. 8 months is 2/3 of a year. So in order to calculate I, the amount of interest, all you need to do is multiply those 3 together. And the amount of interest earned is $31.20.